Changes to the agenda?
There are none.
Okay. Can we get a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of minutes?
Move to approve items 8A and 8B.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And now to report out of closed session. The board voted 4-0 to approve the settlement agreement for case number 2021-2022/2. And now, for our February Student of the Month, I'm going to turn to Mr. Ahrens here from Westmore High School.
And first, I want to thank our board, our superintendent, Tony, and our cabinet for allowing me to be here tonight to celebrate Justin tonight. Westmore High School is proud to honor 12th grader Justin Bergado as our District Student of the Month for February. As a Westmore Ram, Justin is more than just a 4.0 student. He's also a student leader, along with being involved with school student government program and working with Associate Student Body Social Media Manager as the historian. He has earned many awards and accolades through his tenure at Westmore High School. Justin is friendly, kind, polite, and truly wise beyond his years, puts others before himself, and respected by school staff, peers alike. Justin's student government advisors and school activities director, Michael Simon, had this to say about him. Justin Bergado is the consummate learner and curious about everything in leadership. He loves to explore and hear different ideas that has led so many of the emerging leaders during this school year. There's not enough words to express his impact within Westmore Student Government Program. Miss Louisa Conroy, Justin's Spanish teacher, echoed the sentiments of Mr. Simon. Justin was in my Spanish 1 and now in Spanish 3 class, and he's an outstanding student. He was eager to learn and complete all his assignments. He was also kind, polite, and sweet to the entire class. Justin always puts his efforts into every activity presented in class and makes the best of any situation. Academically, he's outstanding. As a humble human being, he's even more outstanding. Justin truly is one of a kind. After graduating from Westmore this May, Justin plans to become an EMT, emergency medical technician, along with joining the National Guard. From there, he plans to continue his education in medicine at the University of St. Thomas in Houston with the end goal of helping shape society into a better place in which to live. As mentioned earlier, Justin is a mature soul. During the course of his high school career, he has not been afraid to politely share his advice with his peers. From finding discipline through God and giving up vices only hindered you from moving forward, to being an earnest and honest person with yourself and those around you. His pearls of wisdom are nothing short of pigment and powerful. Westmore High School is very fortunate to have a student of Justin's caliber walk into the campus halls. His positive attitude and can-do attitude will take him far, and we look forward to watching this young man making a true difference in the world around us. I present to you Justin Bergado, the District Student of the Month for February.
Yes.
That's yours. I'll let you have that with that. All right. Speech.
And I'd like to open it up to the board, if you would like to address Justin or his family. Yes, Mr. Ojapenti.
Yeah. First of all, congratulations, of course, Justin, and of course to the family for doing a great job. It does take a village, but it's good to see fellow Ram too. Somebody went to Westmore, and I know, yeah, dedication is a lot of things that all of our students, embrace. But EMT training is a calling. I did it myself when I was in college. It's something that I think. During the pandemic, I think your generation, obviously, in our entire community worldwide, learned a lot of valuable lessons. Learning loss or not, you learn not only to survive that, but to help other people and do that. And so Hearing, the accolades that you've got, I have no doubt in my mind that you will do amazing things, not only now, for the rest of this year and onward. And so, yeah, congratulations, and feel free to always come back and share that with the next generations too. Congratulations.
Oh, same thing. Just echo what my colleague said. Congratulations to you. Lots of work. I know this has been a really tough time to come up as a teenager, especially with everything going on in the world that continues to go on. So to see your success, it makes me extremely proud of you, even though we've never met. You have a lot of people pulling for you. And again, to the parents and the family, thank you so much for all your support of your students and your children, and getting them to this point is pretty amazing. So thank you, and for coming here tonight. Thank you.
For coming here tonight.
Yes, congratulations, Justin. Just very excited to see what you've accomplished, and can't wait to see what you do moving forward. So congratulations once again.
Aburazaria.
I got to know you through student government, since we've been in student government for the past 4 years. Like, your work and like dedication and passion is just like unteachable, and like you've done a lot of like awesome work for Westmore. So congratulations, Justin.
Justin, I've known you since Ben Franklin. You were a mature soul then, and I'm not surprised. And I've met the family, I've known you, very proud of your son. And Julian, you are going to be, you're following in his footsteps already. And I'm so very proud of you, the man that you become. And you make us proud. Thank you. Yes.
I can chime in as well. I was vice principal at Westmore last year, and I can speak on all of this, that we couldn't have picked a better student of the month. And Justin, it's such an honor to see you here tonight. Congratulations to you and your family.
Yes, Ms. Presta.
I just want to say, Justin, that I don't know you, and I am seeing your beautiful smile radiate through your mask. So your warmth is evident. And I'm just very proud that you are one of our students and you are representing your classmates very, very well. Thank you so much. I am thrilled to sort of see what you do, because I know that you're going to do great things. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we take a picture?
Yes, we'll get a picture.
Let's come over here.
Yes, it's been so long.
It's been a while.
Taller than me.
Yeah, exactly. Mustafa, are you in there?
There you go.
There we go.
Found his way.
We go, ready? 1, 2, ready? Congratulations.
Honestly, just go ahead and file that one.
Thank you. What a sweetie.
Yes. All of the seniors were my daughter's friends. Hey, now we're on to communications, our board report. Let's start with Mr. Abuzaria.
So we just got back from break, so I don't have anything to report tonight.
Okay. Let's see. So I do have a report from Terra Nova, from Catalina Huasano, who could not be here tonight. She asked me to read this for her. At Terra Nova, the juniors have begun selling spring formal tickets during lunch, which will be held on March 12th on campus. Beyond the Bomb, a club at our school, is organizing a rally, I believe this Friday, in support of Ukraine and anti-war. And also in honor of Women's History Month, Women's Advocacy Club will be taking weekly nominations of 2 women, one being a teacher and the other being a student, to represent at our school. And that's all that I have to report at Terra Nova. Ms. Garrett?
Well, she took the words right out of my mouth because those were kind of the things I wanted to touch upon, so I will make it brief. But I do want to also want to say that I am thinking of the people in Ukraine and, during these times of war and praying for their safety and peace in their land. I also do want to acknowledge that it is Women's History Month. And, for me, I feel like we as women oftentimes are undervalued, underappreciated, yet we make all the sacrifices for our family, for our careers, for our community, and, never really get that. It's like we just get the satisfaction of being there. So I just want to say that I appreciate all of you out there who are out making a sacrifice every day. I appreciate you all and see all the value that you put into our community, all the work that you do, and yet not recognized. Yet every day you're out there helping everyone and doing your part. So thank you very much to all the staff and all the women in our community and all our school districts. So thank you.
Mr. Chapinti?
Yeah. Good to hear students, being back in school after a break. There's a lot going on in the world, and of course, you see that students are already stepping up and taking action about the issues that affect them globally. I know some of the students I've seen over the past month closing out Black History Month, and of course, starting Women's History Month. These are things I think, when we think about equity and think about social justice, when we're talking about these things in public education, we don't want to just talk about them. We hope that they can be backed up with action. And so it's more than inspiring to see that our students are taking that up and really participating and being involved in their community, which is not just local but global. That said, tonight is the State of the Union. President Biden is giving a speech about the state of our country and not only where we've come in the last year, his first year as president, but also what we have to look for moving forward. And so as a school board, it's always important that I think we engage in civil debate and dialogue and make it productive. And thinking about, I think, the long-term solutions and sustainable solutions that we need for our community, they start with honest discussion of these issues. I think, as we've heard too, and we know, just at the forefront of a lot of issues is conflict in Ukraine, is an unprovoked attack on an independent country like anything else, which are many. There are many countries in conflict around the world, not just Ukraine, obviously, but we think about the displacement of people from their countries and how that shapes new communities and the new need to support people who are looking for refuge. City is not unlike Daly City, which was formed out of an earthquake in San Francisco. Our community is largely comprised of immigrants who have been displaced from countries for push and pull factors, and comprise, I think, cities that reflect the needs of our international community. And so, just like we're seeing recently and ongoing in Afghanistan and in countries across the world, I think it's important to recognize that these conflicts are not completely different. They have overlap, and we should be standing in solidarity with the people of Ukraine and the people of Russia, who by and large do not support this conflict. I think it's important to be mindful and intentional in understanding that a war waged by a country does not reflect the views of all of its people. We know that because this country took action in Afghanistan and Iraq, which were largely unpopular wars and were not sanctioned by the United Nations, as this action in Ukraine is not sanctioned by the United Nations. In fact, there have been sanctions placed on Russia which impact the people of Russia, which unfortunately impact everyday people in these countries who are suffering because of the decisions of their government. So just also my heart goes out to the people in Russia who are standing up for civil and human rights for the people in Ukraine, of course, globally, and organizations like the United Nations who are promoting that and looking for an answer that is not only sustainable, but that is equitable and peaceful. In addition to that, as we think about the pandemic, I think it's important to note that, as many have heard, the mask mandate will be coming to an end for many places, or at least the recommendation from the state in the California Department of Public Health, reflecting recommendations from the CDC, is moving towards the changing of the mask mandate across California, and seeing how that's rolling out in the Bay Area, even if San Mateo County and San Francisco City and County and, of course, Alameda and a few other counties are looking at moving back and taking the mask mandate away. We should be mindful that Santa Clara County, so in the San Jose area, South Bay community, and of course, communities are across the state like in LA and San Diego where the case rate is still high. So let's still be mindful of our essential workers and of course our community who are most vulnerable as we transition into the next phase and of course moving into the end of year 2 of pandemic in the next 2 weeks. That said, I want to also, give a shout out to the students, the youth, and the community organizations doing education outreach about climate justice, of course, including Saving the Garden here and fighting for environmental and climate justice here in Daly City in North San Mateo County. Over the break, we did see that there was action taken to begin policing, to add security and install cameras in a community garden. I cannot think of a single example in which any school district or city has been installing security cameras, security guards, and fencing to fence off a public community garden area, green space that has been recognized by the county in the past, and of course, is at the center of a lot of discussion and support here in the community in the Daly City area for the last year. So at this point, as I am, and the rest of my colleagues on this board for making those decisions, that is something I want to honor in terms of the youth in the community and all generations coming out to support, including our Native community, who are not in favor of the current developments around this, but do support the garden, obviously. Secondly, to respond to some of the comments from last meeting briefly, there were a few that were obviously, I think, needed to be said and heard, so I want to honor the fact that people from the community are joining our meetings and voicing their opinion. That is part of our democracy, and it should be part of every one of our meetings. I think it's good to hear that. It is disappointing to hear that some members of our community have been attacked or, really just insulted and effectively felt hurt by other comments on public comment. During our public comment, you are free to say whatever you need to say. It's a First Amendment right to do that without question. That said, I have seen this, and I felt this personally, at personal and political and professional attacks by even members of this board in this district leveled towards me are obviously completely out of bounds and out of line, but it's created an atmosphere in our community where other community members have attacked other community members. And in effect, this has come back to one of our employees. So just honoring what our teacher from Terra Nova, Mr. Carcazes, I hear what you're saying, is not okay that you feel and you were attacked by another member in terms of the integrity of your service. And so I want to honor your public service, obviously not only as a veteran, but as a teacher in our district. However, I do want to also intone that if we're going to continue a discussion, an honest discussion about the issues in our community, that we do this together, that it is not in contest with our community, but in the context with our community. And so to that, to our members of the community who are saying, insulting things and maybe untruthful things, right? That's not okay. You cannot just get on community meetings and on public meetings and say things that are not truthful. You have a right to say those things, but obviously it's ethically unjust, and we shouldn't continue to engage in that way. That said, I know for myself, as a public official, this is part of what we signed up for, is hearing the community, even if they don't agree with what we're saying, but I'll also encourage some truth in that. That said, there were also comments made by our AFT president, Monica Casey, who made an insinuation that I was somehow associated with some emails that were sent out, which is completely untrue, obviously. So this continued attack on my character as a teacher, as a public official, and as a kid who grew up in this city, and as an adult, as a man who is here serving the community against the pressure of the real estate lobby and private interests, which are reflected in almost all the rhetoric that Ms. Casey has presented to this board and in our community, is not only disappointing, but I have to call it out that I've been informed that there are also emails that have been sent to slander me by Ms. Casey, which have not been presented. So if we're going to talk about emails and slander and misinformation, please present those to the community as you're making accusations which are unsubstantiated. I don't appreciate that level of aggressive attacks, obviously. I will address them, though, and I will address them publicly every single time. That said, moving forward, I could ask for an apology, but at this point, it would mean less, because at this point, those words are empty. I would expect action on actual social justice issues from our union membership and leadership, because as somebody who is a union member and who has been involved in labor and community organizing since I was in high school or out of high school and college and I was a teenager, I have never in my life seen the level of unethical behavior from this union leadership in my life. So it's beyond embarrassing to hear it from our union president to continue to take that stance, because it creates division in our community. And as a teacher, I will hope that a union president will work to unite our community instead of divide it. That is the complete opposite of the role of union leadership in our society. I say this as a public official who stands with unions and one who was asked to run for this school board by the union. So that said, I'm also aware that there are emails sent regarding this development that have been disclosed in a Public Records Act request earlier last spring, and they reflect a similar pattern from other trustees encouraging teachers to attack not only me, but the project in the community, and including discrediting community members and trying to perpetuate misinformation from community members around the garden. I know that a lot of emails behind closed doors and a lot of information that has not been provided. The last meeting, if the public for those who were able to watch or want to watch on YouTube, I did mention that I have requested information that has not been publicly or at least communicated to me through email, and I have requested it several times. There is information being withheld from a public official here, in addition to other board members, unless they've been provided with the information and I have not. But I will continue to press for the open access of public information for our district and our district community to be able to participate in these conversations and not to feel left out. Because last meeting, there was a lot of fast tracking around a project that is not final. To that effect, fencing off the garden, if there's any damage to a garden prior to an environmental impact report, that's a clear violation of not only procedure, but also ethical and perhaps legal boundaries, because there is no final environmental impact report published yet. And so I will encourage this board and, of course, the city council here in Daly City to continue to monitor and preserve our garden to make sure there's no damage done to our environment, and, of course, to exclude any of our community members, including our students, not only from Summit here, Summit Shasta Public Schools, but also from around our district who are trying to use the garden, who have been turned away, even though the garden is not closed. In addition to taking the bed and food of a local cat, a stray cat who lives in the garden. That is completely out of line. I shouldn't even have to mention that. But the cat's belongings, their bed and their food should be returned to them immediately. So let me just put that out there. On top of that, I just want to say I do look forward to moving forward on the rest of the issues this semester. It is March 1st. We have a lot to look forward to in our district that go beyond a real estate project that not only is highly controversial, but is not final. I think we should be prioritizing the needs of our students and our education in this community as we close out our first year back from a pandemic in person. And it is good to see our community engaged in this at this time. Thank you.
Ms. Salahudi?
Thank you. So first I want to say to the president of our union, Monica Casey, I apologize for for that. And I just want to say that when we're talking about social justice and who fights for social justice, I have never been more proud to work alongside you on many facets of fighting for social justice, feeding people in our community. You've been at Jefferson at every single food bank, working the food bank line and helping to feed people, bringing our union together, before you and after you, and working collaboratively with the school district and fighting for your members. I mean, I think that's the part of, we're a local government, and that we're supposed to have some friction, because through that friction, that's how we get to define their points, and we all reach a place of understanding for all of us. And so it's nice to have a strong union leadership at the table, along with what I am so proud is just a stellar executive cabinet. And I'm really proud to be a part of this district and all the work that we do in spite of the adversity and in spite of being constantly, our character constantly be called into question for reasons that I will say are false. A lot of accusations are, tossed at us that are unfounded. And it's hard, it's draining, it's really draining. But I continue to be extremely proud of this district and the work that we've done in spite of so many obstacles. And I joined the school board because I understand how education can affect and change a life, for myself personally and for my children. So, at the end of Black History Month, I'm extremely proud of my part in history, the part that the school district played in my children's life so they can be a part of that history. My son is getting ready to move out of the house. And this is a child who, when he was 5 years old, he was told he would never graduate from high school. And Terra Nova High School helped my son graduate from high school, and it's helped my son continue on in his adult career to where, even being autistic, having epilepsy, and so many other disorders, is getting ready to move out on his own. And that is due to so many teachers and staff and administrators and custodial staff and kitchen staff and so many people that helped my son. And my daughter was accepted in a law school, and that wouldn't have happened without so many of those people as well. And then my daughter, Ananda, who I thought for a while wasn't going to graduate from high school. And I remember when she was transferred to Thornton, and Mrs. Casey was the principal there. And that was one of the low points of my life, of feeling like, was I doing too much in the community? And did I fail my child? And then Ms. Casey kind of turned us around and let us know that, no, this is the safety net that this district has provided to catch you, and that it'll be okay. And my daughter graduated from high school and is now like the best cook. And if anybody follows me on Facebook, you know what I'm talking about. So I am super proud of this district, that we are the third K-12 district to complete workforce housing. The other two districts are massive districts, Santa Clara Unified and Los Angeles Unified, and that was largely due to Tina Van Rapphorst just never giving up on it as a team of one, when those districts have huge departments that work on that stuff. And Tina was able to get through all of that and help this district get through. And now we're working on developing the rest of the property. And everybody's not going to agree with the things that we do. And I understand that. As a school board member, I know sitting here, every decision that we make, there's somebody that's upset with it. That is just the role of being a school board member. But what I don't understand is where all this animosity comes from. If you disagree, that's fine. If you want to advocate in support of something, that's fine. But I don't know why you have to turn the district into a villain to make your point. That's what I don't understand. We are all good people on this board. We all advocate for kids. None of us are doing this, to cause harm, because it's volunteer work. We're all here to do what we think is best for our community. And you may not agree with the decisions that we make, but nobody is here to be malicious. And so I think that I'm trying to lean into that as a board member, and I hope that we will all lean into that, we all need to govern in that lens. And like I've said, I have made mistakes, and I freely admit that I've made mistakes, and I apologize for the mistakes that I made, and I will continue to always try to be better. I'm an adult, and I'm a constant work in progress. So I just wanted to say that. I also wanted to just quickly, it is a rough time. The Ukraine war was brought up, but I also want to bring up that there's some horrible decisions that are being made in other states around our trans and non-binary students, and that is really hard. Mental health is a big deal. It's already hard to be a teenager, and then on top of that, when you have your humanity constantly being called into question by laws, even if it's in another state. So I know that this district has always been extremely supportive of all of our students, and I just want to reiterate that for any student that feels harmed by those things. That's all I have to say.
Mr. Lee?
I echo many of those sentiments that you've shared, Ms. Salahuddin. First off, extremely grateful to AFT, our union, for the work they've done and continue to do. And it is under Ms. Casey's leadership that we've been able to have a relationship that's far stronger between our union and our management and overall as a district. The health of the district comes a lot from that relationship being healthy and being strong. So I'm appreciative to you and your team, Ms. Casey. I'm appreciative to Ms. Presta and the entire cabinet for the stellar work that was done over the past few months to make sure we got to that tentative agreement and to be able to get to the new contract, which is huge, with the relative speed in which it occurred too. And that is pretty remarkable, certainly in my 7 years on the board, to see that level of teamwork to make that happen. I'm also grateful to all of our staff, because you actually do understand the work we are trying to do up here. You see the big picture. It begins with the staff housing that we're going to have the great presentation on in a little bit, in just a few minutes. But it's going to continue on with the work that we've been doing. And I'm grateful that you see the big picture, what we're trying to do in terms of redeveloping this site, in terms of the type of income we can generate to have a healthier, financially healthier district, to have an annuity revenue stream that comes here that's locally controlled. There's nothing insidious about any of this. This is just simply, we're just trying to find a way to maximize the use of the property that we have at hand. It's really simple. None of us are up here trying to get rich off of doing this work, because as you may recall, we approved a pay increase for the board a couple weeks ago to a whopping $277 per month before taxes. So we're doing this because we love this district, we love our community, we care about our students, we care about our staff, who clearly care and deeply love every single one of our over 4,000 students. So thank you once again from me for all the work you've done.
Thank you. I echo your sentiments as well. I grew up in this community. I went to Jeff. My children went to Westmore, and Jeff. My entire family went to Jeff. I have a family member who went to Oceana. I'm extremely proud of the work we're doing. We are the lowest funded high school district in the county. I'll say that again. We are the lowest funded high school district in the county. And what we've been able to do here is nothing short of a miracle. And when I hear disparaging remarks about Ms. Casey, I take it personally. Because you are the leadership we need right now. And when Ms. Salahuddin talks about safety net, your safety net, your team, how we work together, it's just amazing how quickly we got to that tentative agreement. It was just, compared to when I started on the board 8 years ago, light years. This is the way a district, especially like ours, has to work together. I just want to say that I hope that this is a peaceful meeting. If I have to yell the word civility again, it means nothing. The word becomes meaningless. So let's do better. I love this district, and I know you all do as well, all of us. And I think our board is stellar. Thank you. Ms. Superintendent.
Ms. Superintendent.
Ms. Presta.
Thank you. Thank you, President Tejada. There's not much to report this week. As Trustee Abadarea said, we all just got back from President's Week. So I hope that many had a restful week. There were many that were here working, but it was nice to see at the student advisory meeting last night that many of the kids said they felt really well rested. And I've heard the same sentiments from staff that I've spoken to. So that's great. The main thing that I just want to share is, as I think most of us have seen, Governor Newsom announced that after March 11th, the statewide requirement for indoor masking in K-12 schools will no longer apply to staff or students. The guidance will change to a strong recommendation for masking indoors, which means really that we all should wear masks. But I'm going to bring a recommendation to our board on March 15th. So there's no changes locally until at least after that date. I've met already with Monica Casey, our AFT president. I've met with executive cabinet. We have a district labor management meeting this Thursday where we are going to discuss it further. And we just want to make sure that we're all kind of thinking about our school district and what's best for our staff and students. So nothing to report locally, but wanted to make sure that everybody knows that this is something coming down from the state. We'll make our local decisions on March 15th. And I'm going to send some communication home this week to staff and families so that everybody kind of is up to date. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Now for our AFT Local 1481 report, Ms. Casey.
Good evening, everyone. I have a few things to talk about. So the first one is the mask mandate as well. I have met with the CFT leadership, and that's the whole statewide leadership. And one of the things that a lot of different places are talking about is, even though in our area we're green, so the CDC has changed, how they're reporting out how safe it is or how unsafe it is. And although the Bay Area, the immediate Bay Area is green, the next little section outside of that is yellow. And then the next section outside of that is orange or red. I'm not quite sure what color that is. So, we all travel. And so I want to make sure we're thinking about that as well, that there's a lot of travel between districts and counties. And so, we need to be conscious of that as well. We have some people traveling from pretty far away to come and work here. So, that's something to be considering. And I appreciate that our cabinet and the district and our union is able to have these discussions. We don't always agree, but we're able to disagree and try to come to a place in the middle, or sometimes this time it's our middle and sometimes it's your middle, and that's how it works. So discussion and spending time together and sitting down and having hard conversations is how it works. Honesty goes a long way, and I've appreciated our cabinet's honesty when we go to the table. We have checks and balances. So for example, I go to Tina and I say, can you give us the information about the budget? And she gives it to us. And of course, I have other people that are checking the budget, right, from CFT through the state, and they say, oh my gosh, she's right on. You know, she's not hiding anything. She doesn't have any little pockets somewhere. And so I really appreciate that honesty that we have going on here now. I think it's funny that it's Women's Month, and we have a highly female presenting cabinet. And I just wonder why there's so much flack right now, because I don't remember seeing it before when there were a lot of men on the cabinet. So I just want to put that out there, just a little thought. So I just want us to be aware of that sometimes it's easier for people to put down the women when women are in charge. The next thing I want to talk about is the voice of the union. I am the voice of the union. I'm the head of our union, AFT 1481, but I don't speak for Monica Casey. I have a lot of people that come to me and give me things they'd like to say, and I say, that's okay, I will speak for that. Yes, you can add that to it. Yes, I will add that to it. So I am not speaking just for me, speaking for the voice of the union, and that does not mean that 100% of the union agrees with everything I say. But it's just like I've said many times that you have a meeting, you have representation from different places, people vote. Most of the time it's not 51%. Most of the time it's, 70, 80%. But sometimes it is 51%. If that's the 51%, then that's what we go with. Then we go with that. And that's what happens. So I want to remind us that sometimes even in our union, we don't always agree. But when we come together and some of the people say, okay, I get it. Most of the people believe this. This is what we're going to go with. The last thing, very interesting that this was one of my topics. Once again, I've said this many times, that we are teachers as a district. Even though some of us are not formally teachers, we're all teachers. All of our staff are teachers. We're teaching humans. Your subject area, as wonderful and interesting and as fabulous as your subject area is not as important as you're teaching humans. Teaching humans to be critical thinkers doesn't mean they have to agree with you, so that they can look at information and decide for themselves, that they can be compassionate with each other, even if you don't agree with each other, which we many times don't agree with. I don't even agree with my own wife on every single thing. I'm still married to her. It's not the subject area. It's that we're teaching humans through your subject area. And we need to learn and remember that right now, especially masks, no masks, the pandemic, we need to be compassionate towards each other. We do not know what the other person is going through. We have no idea. We don't know what is affecting them. And so we need to learn how to be human to each other. And that is our goal. And that's what I keep telling my staff, that we have to learn and teach how to be compassionate. So, thank you.
None, okay. No COVID response update. Now on to our consent agenda items.
Move to approve consent.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And do we have any public comment?
Yes, we do. We have 3 speakers, and the chart. Hold on, let me see if I can. So the first speaker that I have in the chart is Victoria Becker.
Hi, my name is Victoria Becker. I'm from Pacifica Social Justice. I was at the garden last week. I saw the district taking hostile control of the Daly City Community Garden, building a fence through the garden, installing cameras, threatening the community with trespassing in their own community garden, and calling the police. And finally, taking away the resident cat's food for no explicable reason. This is public land, unceded Ramaytush Ohlone land. The community has attempted to talk to the school board repeatedly, has called for the end of the Serramonte del Rey project as it is currently proposed, to stop the destruction of this wonderful garden. I'm asking you all to stop the hypocrisy. You claim to care about social justice issues constantly in your meetings. You talk about Women's History Month, the importance of women, talk about Black history and the support for kids protesting war. Yet you are not listening to the community talk to you. This is not justice. This is not democracy. Save the garden.
Okay. Thank you so much for your comments. The next speaker that I have on the list is Glenn Mercado. Is Glenn in? No? Okay. The next speaker I have is Hiba.
Good evening. There are so many things I'd like to bring up, but the first thing I wanted to bring up, I didn't attend the last school board meeting for multiple reasons because I think you all are super triggering, and I had emailed the school board and the school district about a teacher who appropriated my culture, and I received no response, or like the response wasn't adequate enough, stating that he has a First Amendment right to do so, when, you know, realistically, all I wanted was maybe an acknowledgement or a restorative conversation. And I think it's pretty ironic that you guys are talking about social justice issues and Women's History Month when you all constantly talk over me or shut me up or don't acknowledge any of my concerns. But I'll just read my email again. So I'm a Palestinian woman who graduated from this school district and volunteered at the school district for 2 years. I really do not appreciate any disrespect when it comes to my ethnic identity or the work in the community that I do. The reason I'm reaching out to you all is because I felt disrespected by this teacher, who I'm not going to name because I think it's irrelevant at this point. While looking into his background, I came across a very problematic photo that genuinely triggered me. You have Palestinian students in your school with a teacher who disrespects our sacred ethnic attire. This is a traditional Palestinian keffiyeh, which symbolizes fighting against injustice, oppression, and persecution. I cannot begin to explain the disrespectful and problematic nature of this photo, where this teacher who is employed in your school is wearing this to mock the locals, quote unquote. I understand that he's a veteran, but this does not excuse my culture being appropriated by someone who recently targeted me in a public comment while I'm also Palestinian. Please address this disrespectful behavior so your Palestinian students do not have to experience the discrimination I have experienced from the school district. After this email, I actually was harassed by a number of his students. I'm not sure if he publicized my email or what had happened, but I literally was attacked by so many people within this last month just for being an advocate for a community garden. We had a student-led rally about 2 weeks ago where the news came and a bunch of local students were saying how this garden was a safe haven for them in the middle of a global pandemic where they were completely isolated from social interactions. A number of students had also said, you know, during the school day, they are staring at a computer screen for like 8 hours. And again, this garden was that break from staring from a screen. And they emphasized the need for the screen space because of their mental health. And you guys keep bringing up these same issues, and you're not trying to cause harm. You literally took away a cat's food, the bed. Like, did you want the cat to die? No, the cat doesn't belong to anyone, you know. Stray cats come and go. I heard you guys have a stray cat also around like the school district building, which, and you say like a lot of people are attacking your character, but your actions show your true character. At the end of the day, you can say anything that's performative, but like I said, your actions show who you guys really are. Thank you.
That we have.
All right, thank you. Now on to our discussion items. Item 14A, the educational staff housing presentation. Mr. Warden?
All right, good evening, President Tejada, members of the board and executive cabinet. I'm Austin Worden, our Director of Communication and Staff Housing. So I'm going to give a quick presentation, kind of a past, present, and future about our educational project. The official name now is 705 Serramonte. That is the address of the educational staff project here on the Boulevard. So in this presentation, we're going to talk about kind of briefly the concept of the project, the funding for it, details of the actual building itself, the Educational Housing Corporation and staff interest to go with that, Boulevard Residential, and us being in the home stretch of opening our doors in early May. So concept, as we all know, JUHSD is the lowest funded in San Mateo County, which we'll briefly talk about in the next slide. With a 25, give or take, % turnover rate every year of staff, the board decided to take quick action, swift action. Needing to retain staff along with finding ways to entice recruitment, a plan was conceived. So as you can see, as mentioned earlier, in San Mateo County, Jefferson Union High School District is the lowest paid, and compared to San Mateo Union High School District, you can see, and I won't read these, but you can see the dramatic difference in between salaries at our different ranks of staff. So the concept, during the 2017-2018 school year, the district decided to redevelop their Serramonte Del Rey property, currently home to our district office and adult school programs. A three-prong approach was created to begin addressing how to retain current staff and entice new ones. One, pass an additional parcel tax. Two, explore generating revenue from our underutilized district-owned property. And three, build affordable staff housing. So we've built a 122-unit complex on the Serramonte Del Rey site, formerly the upper parking lot area. We're going to offer housing to current staff at below market rate monthly rents. We're going to make this available to any interested staff currently employed with our district. And the whole overall goal, which we'll talk about in a minute, is to create a cost-neutral program. So funding the project. So the overall cost of this project is a little over $75 million, borrowed through a certification of participation. Of that, $33 million of that was provided through a voter-approved bond, Measure J, in June of 2018. It's the overall goal to make available to interested staff and, again, create a cost-neutral program. And we're back to that slide. So the question that comes up quite a bit is, why not just raise salaries instead of building housing? Well, bond funds cannot be used for salaries because it's a loan repaid for or repaid by taxpayers. It can only be used for the construction and purchase of things with value or capital assets. So building details. Now I'm getting into the present and the specifics of where our building has evolved. So this brand new complex includes 122 units of affordable housing, 50 one-bedroom units, 9 bedroom-plus units. They have a nook, which can be used for either a bedroom, an extra bedroom. It could be used for a dining room, an office space, a nursery. It's really neat. 56 two-bedroom homes and 7 three-bedroom homes. We also on-site have a fitness center, multiple common workspaces on each floor. We have laundry rooms on each floor. We have a playground and community space in the middle, a state-of-the-art parking structure. Bike parking are just a few of the amenities on site. So that's the floor plan of a one-bedroom home. Though we're not quite ready to show staff the interior just yet, I was able to sneak into the complex 2 weeks ago and snap a few photos. So you can see the finished on the left. That's a finished kitchen and a one-bedroom unit. Very nice, very clean, very sleek. On the right side is also a one-bedroom bathroom. Very spacious. So our one-bedroom units, as you can see there, are approximately 650 square feet. This is our one-bedroom plus home. So again, same bathroom and kitchen setup, but it's a little larger at 770 square feet with that nook off to the side. You can see the nook has a ceiling fan. Very spacious, again, can be used for a dining room, office, additional bedroom, guest space. Possibilities are endless. A two-bedroom home, approximately 950 square feet, has a closet, a hallway closet adjoining the 2 bedrooms, and again, a very spacious living area. A 3-bedroom home, our largest, is approximately 1,300 square feet. Many of those open into a corner space with gorgeous windows that open not only to the highway, but also to our development here at Serramonte Del Rey. Again, those 3-bedroom homes are absolutely stunning. as all the units are. So additional spaces, again, I was able to snap a few photos, obviously still in completion or under construction, but a laundry room, our fitness center on the first floor, a common workroom, and the parking structure. The first photo to the left is the courtyard awning. As you drive by, you can see that plants have actually been installed, is that the right word for plants? They've been placed into the unit. That's going to be a really nice common area for our staff and their families. We have the gates going up to our entrance. That youth play structure is massive. If I was a little kid, I'd be really excited to live here. And of course, our parking lots are also being installed and really taking shape of our sidewalks and parking lot area. So the EHC, the Educational Housing Board, is what the EHC stands for. In April of 2020, the JUHSD Board of Trustees voted to establish the EHC, a nonprofit corporation, for the purpose of managing the operations of the district's faculty and staff housing project. The EHC will oversee the management of the operation of affordable housing for current district employees and engage in any other activities reasonably related to such purposes. A board of volunteers, a few of which are employees of our district not planning to live or who will not live in the complex, are members of this board, along with community members and support from our group advisors, who also serve as part of the EHC support, and we meet the first Thursday of the month. And we have members of the EHC here tonight as well to answer any questions. Staff interest. I have to say that every single day, the closer we get to our May opening, the staff interest just grows and grows, and it's so exciting to see their excitement for this project. In the spring of 2020, staff were asked to fill out the very first initial interest form, where input from that form was taken into consideration for actual plans of the project, and that garnered 266 responses. At the start of this year, we followed up with another interest form in August of 2021. Our staff was asked to complete a more detailed interest form that allowed us to receive a rough estimate as to how many current staff members truly wanted to live in this building. From there, we had 145 responses. In January of 2022, we're getting closer, a final pre-leasing interest form was sent to our staff. The purpose of this form was to see who was strongly interested in moving into that final phase of interest. From that, we received 122 responses. Linked to that form was the eligibility and priority guidelines created by the EHC. There was a subcommittee designed through the EHC just for that purpose. Along with staff being able to view community rules and resident expectations, these are all posted on the EHC website through our district website. So from that form, and this is where it starts to get down to the actual who wanted what. In that pre-leasing interest form of 122 responses, 21 staff members wanted a one-bedroom, 41 wanted the one-bedroom plus, which was the Nook, 44 wanted a two-bedroom, and 16 wanted a three-bedroom. But it was also neat to see on that form, they had the option to say they would not mind rooming with other staff members. So either with a spouse or a partner or other current JUHSD staff members, 21 of them said they would room with another staff member. So a few breakdowns very briefly from that form. You can see on this where from each site the interest came from. Also, to the breakdown based on their position within the district. So classified or certificated, the goal through the EHC was to provide 60% for certificated, 40% for classified. You can see we're very close to that number, which is exciting.
What is the other?
Oh, so the other, and I take that back, was our Daily Youth Health Center. So that should have been included with the other two. So through Brookwood, they were able to support us with a supply and demand graph after extracting information from that form. So you can see again that the supply and demand, mainly for our one bedroom plus, didn't quite balance. We were off by 3 for our one bedroom, but it looked like we were able to meet that need for the one bedroom total, excuse me. So we were able to meet that need for the one bedroom, and then for the 2, and then off by 8 for the 3. After this, we did see that because of the supply and demand, maybe staff members, after we shared this with them, they might have changed their mind, and another form was given to our staff interested in wanting to change, and of that, I believe 12 said they were willing to move to a different apartment. Boulevard Residential. We were very lucky in December of 2021 with the EHC to pair with Boulevard Residential, based out of Menlo Park, California, as the Educational Housing Projects Management Company. Their expertise in staff housing, mainly with the San Mateo Community College District, along with their years of professionalism within the Bay Area, made this 2-year agreement a nice partnership with the EHC. After being approved by the board, they hit the ground running to ensure our being ready to move in, or our staff to move in this coming spring. The home stretch. So early March, here we are. So our goal is the week after next to begin giving staff tours of 705 to those ready to move forward in the leasing process. In mid-March, we're going to begin really with our property management company, start matching them hopefully to their forever home. I say forever, they're allowed to be there for 5 years. And April, our goal in April is to really, with our recently hired on-site property manager who is here tonight, to support that leasing process of placing staff with their new homes. Our goal is at the very start of May to start moving staff into 705. Save the date. On Friday, May 13th, we'll not only celebrate the district's 100th anniversary, but we will cut the official ribbon to our staff housing project here for Jefferson Union High School District. Thank you so much. We do, for questions tonight, have members of Boulevard, Brookwood, and the EHC here.
You want to introduce who's here?
I sure do. So of the EHC in San Mateo County, we have John Niblin. We have with Brookwood Group, Alan Katz and Chris White. And with Boulevard, we have Bob and Marlene.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, of course, and Andy and Rosie, I'm so sorry, also serve on our board. I apologize. Thank you, Tina.
Okay, so I open it up for questions from the board, or including Mr. Abuzadia, if you have any questions as well. Mr. Ochapinti?
Yeah, I would, first, thank you for the presentation. First, I would like to hear from other board members who have worked on this presentation, if anybody else has worked on this presentation. So I should ask a question, I guess, my first question.
I solely worked on this presentation, but I did share it with everyone on the EHC.
Okay, so are there other members, who are the other members of the EHC here today? I know you
They're
mentioned.
present today.
Yes.
Yep, so we have John Niblin, we have Rosie and Andy.
Rosie Tejada and Andy Lee, okay.
Correct, they are on the board.
Okay, so I'll ask my question again. Rosie, Andy, did you have input on this presentation, yes or no?
No, Mr. Warden did the presentation.
Sure. So you had no input on this? Okay.
He served on the EHC, but he solely put the presentation together.
Okay, no, thank you. I want to be clear, the EHC, Educational Housing Corporation Board, is a part of this project. They oversee these kind of oversight, right, for the project. It's important because I think this is a project I think we're all proud of here in our community. Is workforce housing exclusively. It is affordable housing exclusively, but to our district employees, right? So I wanted to be explicitly clear about that so the community knows that we're talking about the beautiful brand new building here, 705 Ceremony Boulevard, which was approved through a bond, partially the funding, and, is I think the one of the parts addressed in your presentation, which the EHC has had a role in or has a ongoing role in discussing. The reason why I ask is because I noticed in the presentation, which is a nice presentation, I think the community should know all about it. A lot of people have been asking me, hey, what's the new building there? And they're reading the news, about, everything else around Ceremony Del Rey. I'm like, no, it's separate. That was a separate project that has nothing to do with a real estate project that the district is pushing for the rest of this land. But in slide 4, there was quite a bit about the concept. I mean, not slide 4. where is it? Slide, I think, let's load further up. It was slide, yeah, 4, the concept. It says, during the 2017-18 school year, the district decided to redevelop their SDR, San Maria del Rey property, our district office in our, former high school here, currently home to the district office and adult school programs. A three-pronged approach was created to begin addressing to retain current staff and entice new staff. I just want to be, for clarity, as part of the board, and remember these discussions. The concept was initially to provide workforce housing was a major, probably the first priority, I would say, was to help support our employees, right, to our district community. Maybe the second or tied for first would be to pass an additional parcel tax, as you pointed out, because that's the only way to raise staff salaries legally in the state of California, through ballot initiatives, right? So, which we did, which, the community came through, and I want to, again, thank the community and remind the community if, there's been so many elections and so many school education, public education initiatives run locally, that the parcel taxes that you approved are helping give our teachers a 10-year raise through 2028. And that was a renewal, essentially of Measure Y, which passed in 2012. So that's like the second, or first and second main priorities. The third one was to explore generating revenue. I wouldn't call it underutilized district-owned property because everything on this property is being utilized. So I just want to be clear when we're looking at that has been a concept, in debate for over a year and with very little input. So from the community considered in the steps that have been taken. So I feel like, discussing that would be like, we should focus on the current building for workforce housing that we're celebrating because that is a major win for our community and our staff, especially. But yeah, I just want to make sure that we're clear that this project, is for our teachers and staff, our entire staff. So
I think everybody's clear on that.
one thing that isn't clear, I think, is that for people in the community who are looking at the building being built here, that members of this board have continually confused this project with the San Maria del Rey real estate project.
That's off topic.
Intentionally.
That's off topic, though.
So I just want to make it clear that tonight's presentation is regarding the only approved project here thus far using the bond money. So
right, you're the only
thank you
one
for that.
bringing up other items that are not on the agenda.
I'm
So-
sorry if you can please not interrupt me, but thank you. You have.
You said
I'm-
you said thank you, so I thought you were done.
Oh no, you continue to go ahead, but go ahead. You can go ahead. I'm done. I just want to
Okay.
make my point.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I'm saying that you're the only one that's bringing up items that aren't on the agenda. I'm here to just talk about staff housing. So the question that I have is on, we had talked, you had mentioned that it's 5 years. I mean, is there a conversation to extend that? Because I know that
There is.
Okay.
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
5 is the base, and then after that, we reevaluate after their progress through.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. And, okay.
I'm sorry, can you explain that further?
So 5, when they commit, it's a 5-year commitment. 2, we're saying you can stay for 5. However, there's a re-up, and correct me, I'm not sure what year it is that we reevaluate. I think Alan can maybe help support that. But after a certain time limit, we can look at, correct, Alan, the re-up to an additional.
There's a period of 3 years that will be evaluating the demand need. And then, as appropriate, it could be re-up for additional, the 5 years could be extended.
You probably need to come sit up.
It'd probably be better for you to sit over here at a microphone.
Because they can't hear you if they're
John.
watching on YouTube.
Yeah, and John, maybe.
Whoever's answering
Whoever
at the
will be
time.
answering.
Yeah. Thank you.
Please, you go ahead. There's a 3-year, Alan Katz with Brookwood Advisors. There is a 3-year evaluation period that the EHC has established in their eligibility priority basis. And during that 3 years, a determination will be made whether or not after the lease term can be extended from 5 years up to 7 years.
7 years total?
7 years total.
And this is in general, not person-specific.
Right. I'm John Niblin. I'm a Pacifica resident. I volunteered to serve as the secretary of the board of directors of the Educational Housing Corporation. And yeah, I think the notion would be that the board as a whole would consider sort of omnibus changes to the rules, on the basis of information that's gathered over that time period.
And I know it's early still in the process, but I'm, if the goal is that they are going to have like some sort of home ownership or have enough money, like is 7 years enough? Can we reevaluate after 7 years?
I think it would be within the discretion of the board and, working, in conjunction with, the district and stakeholders to consider, time periods beyond that if that seemed warranted at the time.
Okay. Because I don't, depending on, is the plan to fill, are we looking to fill every apartment?
The EHC is looking to fill every apartment other than those that could be used and needed for recruitment, which is just a handful of apartments during the summer months, during your recruitment season.
Right. And so the only reason I'm bringing that up is that I don't want like a future district in 7 years to be dealing with the loss of possibly, 100 staff members because the 7-year space has run out and there's still not the ability to save enough to move into their own housing or to buy a house. I know we're talking about coupling with other programs, so just being able to have that flexibility to reevaluate for me, because the goal is to retain staff, so. Oh, sorry.
I could just add, I've been in on the conversations and as Alan described, the 3-year period is for us to determine the success of the program. Like, are we really retaining staff? Are we still having a lot of turnover? Do we have a high demand for the program or is it less? And based on that, the EHC will be able to determine how long it makes sense to make both of the goals of allowing people to stay long enough that maybe they can afford to buy a house, or and recruiting and maintaining our staff and making sure that it meets both goals. But the way the agreement between the JUHSD board and the EHC board is right now is EHC has to do annual reporting to the JUHSD board.
Okay.
And they kind of serve at your pleasure, right?
Okay.
It's the master agreement is that they serve at your pleasure, but they do make the decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And so in those annual updates, the board and the EHC can have the back and forth about what you would like to see, what they think that means programmatically, and then they'll make the decisions based on that.
Okay. That's great. And then I don't know, if there's thought process too, because I know part of this is also for recruitment. And I know that there's staff that possibly can move in that are looking that are looking to probably not retire soon, and some that are going to retire soon. So, I mean, is that all taken consideration for the stagger of, do you understand what I'm trying to say? Very in the most complicated way possible because I'm a little tired because after work. That looking at, is there a way that we can keep the data here? This is what I'm trying to say. Is there a way we keep the data on the length of employment so that we can chart the possible stagger of retirement and how that relates to possible empty apartments so that we can always look at retention? Can that also be?
But the answer to the question is absolutely.
Okay.
And I know Boulevard is listening and will put that in their, in their list of things to track.
Because I know for sure, we are right now, our staff, we're skewed at both ends. We have very young staff and then we have staff that have been here for a while, and I know both are going to move in, right? So if we have, a couple of staff that are in their 20th, 19th, 15th year, they may only be here for the 5 or 7 years that you're talking about. But I think having an eye to on how making decisions is on both ends to keep the staff that we have, but also to have a place for new staff to move in, and how can we track all that? Okay. Thank you.
You have a question?
Yeah, may I ask
Okay.
a question? I'm wondering about the 2-year, you mentioned in your presentation that there's a 2-year agreement with Boulevard. What's the thinking on a 2-year agreement with Boulevard? Austin, or?
The, and John, who also serves as the EHC's, JUHSD's attorney, could also, is familiar with this. But the thinking is that the board wanted the absolute best possible property manager who would focus on customer service and customer care and run this as an absolute first-class facility. And in order to make sure that that in an RFP process would be achieved, Brookwood did advise that a 1-year term is probably not enough to get superior service, not service, but a superior firm that would absolutely kind of focus on customer service. So we felt a minimum of 2 years, which can be renewed.
Okay.
Is the notion for the review.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Garrett?
I just want, is everyone on the list going to be able to have something, or is there going to be?
So we're looking right now that we are going to be able to provide housing to everyone interested currently.
And is there going to be any vacancies available, or pretty much everything will?
We might have a few vacancies as well, but at this point, it looks like we'll be able to support the needs of staff interested in moving in.
Thank you.
Jefferson?
Yeah, actually, that's a question. That was my question. I noticed we went, 122 is that number, right? So just wondering if, given, consideration of recruitment and whatnot, I'm sure a lot of people interested, at this point are planning on trying at least their best to move in, which is great, which is the goal. And we started with 266, 145, and of course, given all the changes in the last 2 years with the pandemic, I can imagine too, there's been a lot of changes in planning for a lot of people. So that's really good news. That's my second question is, and I asked this earlier for a reason, from our EHC board of directors, John Niblin, as a longtime resident of Pacifica, also don't be shy. You're also a former chief deputy county counsel, now our current county counsel for San Mateo County. Congratulations. I just saw that. What input do you have and have you had on this development so far? And what kind of things would you highlight so the community can know your input on this project as well?
The educational, the particular staff housing project that we're talking about this evening.
Correct.
Our office has had the privilege to advise on many of the business issues, working in particular very closely with Ms. Van Raphorst and the superintendent in connection with, again, sort of the business pieces that are at issue, sort of the structuring of the EHC itself, sort of the development of, the formation of the EHC. So it matters around all that. And I have to say I've been very impressed by the amount of energy and care that's gone into, with respect to the district staff that have worked on the matter in Brookwood, the care that's gone into putting this together. So I would say that I've just been very impressed by it, by the focus, by the creativity in terms of it coming together. And as a resident of the district, I'm immensely proud that the project has come together the way it has, and I've been very humbled to be a part of it.
Got it. Thank you for your work on it.
Mr. Albacedia?
How was it decided, like the number of each type of unit to build?
Number of units, how was it decided?
You're talking about the total 122?
Like one bedroom,
Yeah, how the
Yeah. So it was based on a fairly common basis that you would see in other products that are market rate. We have always seen this as high quality housing, and you know, you can never, it's very difficult to project out several years in advance, but we worked with the associate superintendent and the superintendent to put together surveys. They put together surveys, they reviewed what the likely needs would be. And obviously, over time, there's been a shift from the 266 down to now 122. So it was difficult to, you know, to get the right mix. And Tina probably has.
I would just add that we never did survey people about a one-bedroom plus. The one-bedroom plus was kind of a happy accident of the design of the building. And so we did do extensive surveys, as Mr. Katz mentioned, as well as looking at similar apartment buildings. But yeah, mostly it was from surveys.
Yes, and you know, so to your question, in retrospect, you know, most projects just have 1, 2, or 3. You know, it's would have been good to have created even more. So it's not that those who are going to be in one bedrooms don't have the one bedroom plus. It's just there will be some very fortunate people who get even more than what would be typical.
And just to add to that, I mean, when we first did this, you know, and Andy and I were on the subcommittee, when we did the initial outreach, we only had interest from 53 people, right? So the district took a real gamble in saying, let's build for what we believe we're gonna need, instead of let's build for what people are saying they're interested. So it went up to 266, but it started at 53 or 54.
Well, in that survey with 266,
Yeah.
many of them are like, maybe I might be interested.
Right.
You know, there were only a handful that were like, yes, I'd move in tomorrow.
Right.
Well, certainly the shift over time, right? As this project became more and more real over time, and people started to see that this was really going to happen. That's when we started to see greater interest, and it's been fun to talk to staff who say, "Oh yeah, this is what's keeping me here." You know, I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
So when we were doing the initial breakdown of like how many bedrooms should be, it was really like a guess game of who potentially would be the teachers, and then what the breakdown would be. It looks like pretty much nailed it. I mean, it was pretty close. So, because that was one of the things we were extremely worried about, because we were going off of surveys of people who said maybe, or had listed one of the reasons why they were thinking about leaving was because of the inability to find housing.
And we had some early plans where this was going to be a much smaller building, and Brookwood and their design team, to their credit, actually convinced us that it would be much more cost effective to just go big instead of trying to phase something in like some other districts are thinking of doing.
And Skyline
as well.
I mean, not Skyline, but San Mateo Community College. I mean, that was the best advice we've ever given.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, even PSD was looking at that at the time. So, and just for me, I'm just grateful to have been part of this process from inception to even this piece of it now, in the nuts and bolts side of it. So just really been an honor to work on this with the team, with you, John, and Alan, and Chris, Rosie, and the rest of the EHC board, as well as now getting to know our Boulevard partners.
Yeah, through the process being on the EHC board and, being on several of the subcommittees, working with community members who, an actual property manager in our community, and also someone who is a realtor, and who had also gone through a process herself to get affordable housing. So and it makes it that much more real, because you're hearing from people who can give so many different perspectives on top of our experts who are helping us do this. And from my point of view, on the people side of it, I know families who cannot wait to get in there, and because they've never had a home of their own, and their hope is, I have a student who said, this is our dream, to have our own place, so we cannot wait to move in, and eventually own their own home. That is the goal, and I'm just so glad that we are able to do this, and it's been real pleasure working with the AHC.
And just to reiterate, this was not popular when we started it. Like, we were getting attacked left and right for workforce housing. So I'm glad we pushed through that and we saw the bigger vision of what this could accomplish. And then to your point about, why doesn't it just go towards salaries? I mean, that was what was being tossed at us a lot. So that we were being misguided, that, we shouldn't be in the development. So we were getting told a lot of not positive things, and now it's ended up extremely positive. So I'm glad that we've pushed through that, and now we're here now. So thank you to everybody.
Thank
And
you.
just one last
Yes.
comment. And now, and as a result of that, I mean, in the past 3 weeks, we've seen the media just go insane specifically over teacher workforce housing, right? Because that study that came out that CSBA did, along with UCLA and Berkeley and the Turner Center, and they've been pushing that out, and it's been picked up by all sorts of media, and then the EdSource piece that interviewed our team. So phenomenal job all the way around for everybody. I'm really just proud of the work that everybody in this room has done to make this happen.
Thank you. Oh, Ms. Van Rapp.
Before we go off the topic, I just would like if Bob and Marlene could come up and introduce Marlene to everyone, because she's going to be our property manager.
Oh,
she's going to
fantastic.
I promised Marlene I would go first. My name is Bob Talbot. I'm the co-owner of Boulevard Residential, and I serve as our CEO. We are thrilled to have this opportunity to work with you. As you may know, we also work with the San Mateo County Community College District. I was born and raised in this county, and I went to school in San Carlos High. Most of you know that school's long gone. We competed athletically to high schools in your district when I was a kid. So for me, part of it is I'm a big proponent through the Y of youth and education and supporting our children. So working on helping you with educating your community is something that we take a lot of pride in. And we are incredibly excited when we went out to find a manager. As you might know, hiring people right now is not easy. In the aftermath of COVID, in the last 6 months, we've had more vacancies that we had to fill than ever before in our time. But we were thrilled when we met Marlene Fuentes. Marlene, this is her second week. And I think I'd gotten your email, Austin, on her second day, and I said, Marlene, busy Tuesday night? How about Thursday night? And so we're really excited to have her. She's got 10+ years of experience in the business. She actually knows the area. One time in her career, you may know there's an apartment building down on El Camino and 380. It used to be built by Archstone, and it's now owned by Avalon. She cut her teeth there leasing the second phase of that building up. So she knows the area, and we're just really thrilled to have her. Right now we have her going through training, and then we'll be getting started with the tours, and we're ramping up the systems and getting ready to go. So did you want to say anything?
No, I'm just really excited.
Good.
And I originally from Canada, but I'm from El Salvador. But I came to school here with a visa to the San Mateo, what's it called? Tianza and in Cañada. And I was there as an international student. Went back to Canada, finished, came back here and got somehow involved in property management. But I'm really excited. And I just can't wait until we get started.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Wonderful. Great job on the presentation, Mr.
Thank you,
Warden.
Austin.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here.
Yes, thank you all for being here. Okay, so we're moving on to our action items. 15A1, the job description update for the lead psychologist.
Hi, good evening. I'm here for Dana, who is at a virtual hiring fair this evening, so let's keep our fingers crossed. The item before you for consideration this evening is a small update to the job description for the position of lead psychologist. The job description included reference to the position of program specialist, and it was decided that it would be better not to list specific reference to this position as the department has restructured.
Okay. Do you have a question, Mr. Ochapinti?
Yeah. Thank you for bringing this forward. working in special education, a lot of the work we do revolves around our, our educators and our school psychologists and speech language therapists and whatnot. Program specialists are, oftentimes a major part of that process. I know in my experience, they're vital. And so, in that we have a restructured department, I guess my main question would be, are we eliminating the job description for program specialists and replacing it with lead psychologist?
No. So when we restructured when we have the directors of special ed, remember we went from 1 to 3, and now we have 2. In order to afford that, we had to displace for right now the program specialist position. So we just don't have one right now. If and when we go back to 1 director of SPED, then maybe we can go back to having a program specialist.
Okay.
We just didn't want to put that in here when we didn't really have one for right now.
Got it. Yeah, I guess then my second question, which is, I think you just answered it, but the job duties of a program specialist, are those being absorbed by the co-directors? Yes. Got it. And the lead psychologist job description will be updated for a current staff member who's working in that role? Or this would be, we're hiring for prospectively then?
We don't have one. We haven't had one for a while.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Are we looking, and I guess just as kind of like a thought, and maybe it's something that Superintendent Press consider as well, will we be looking for hiring additional program specialists, or are we looking to, in any priority with a lead psychologist? Is there any kind of priority in terms of what we're looking at when we do have the ability to, find people to play these, to work in these roles?
Can you repeat the question?
We don't have any program specialists, and we don't have a lead psychologist. Is there any priority in which one we're hiring first, or are we going to look for both?
I'll actually defer to Ms. Baswino.
So again, when we created those multiple positions at the director level, we didn't want to have so many people up in the administration area, right? So these people were already program specialists, so they know the job, and so they're doing both because there's 2 directors. If we go down to 1 director, then we'll reconsider having a program specialist. So right now we don't have a program specialist.
Okay.
So we're not looking for one.
Well, actually, we have 2.
Yeah, we have 2 directors.
Yeah, that are also program
specialists.
Yes.
And are you trying to clarify why this is this, I'm not sure if this is what you're asking, but maybe you're wondering if we're restructuring this because we're going to post and look for it? Is that what you're asking, or no?
No, I'm reading the item and asking a question based off of the job description. So if you have a lead psychologist description being written, then prospectively we're looking for a lead psychologist.
Yes, that's it.
And if we don't have program specialists, then that's the question. The first question I asked was, those are former program specialists now co-directing our department. I'm just wondering what the next step would be. I'm certain that, a lot of special education staff and teachers will be wondering, because we have leadership in our department that is here at the district level, administration, but they might be wondering where they can find support through program specialists, who are usually an intermediary between the district administration and the site level personnel.
So you were asking, what is the priority to hire the lead psychologist or program specialist? And we're saying we're hiring the lead psychologist right now.
Right.
And the program specialist duties are absorbed by those directors. So should that change, then of course we would.
Right, that's what was explained.
What she said.
Thank you.
A motion to approve the job description.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 15B1, additional scope of work with JHF for paving and striping. Deputy Superintendent Van Raphorst.
Thank you, President Tejada. This item before you tonight is an additional scope of work for JHF. As you know, they are our contractor on the employee housing project. We need to provide enough parking to meet Daly City parking requirements, and we had hoped that the existing parking lot would suffice, but the condition of the parking lot is too poor, so we need to pave and stripe it so that we can meet the city's requirements.
Motion?
Move to approve.
Actually, I have a question.
Okay.
First question, what was the original number of parking spots that we?
The number of parking spots have never changed.
Okay.
It's only the condition of the parking lot
Okay.
that we had assumed we'd be able to use it in its current condition, and we cannot. I don't know the number of parking spaces offhand. I know that I'm pretty sure the city's requirements are 1.5 per unit. So if you do 1.5 times 122, that would be the number of parking spaces.
Okay, yeah, because it just mentioned that the city of Daly City's parking requirements, you know, that we had to meet them. What were the requirements that we weren't meeting originally? Was it just the condition?
Maybe it's that I didn't word it in a way that made sense, but the wording aside, we had always planned on using our current parking lot to meet some of the requirements. And so the requirements haven't changed. The condition of the parking lot is what has changed. It's gotten to the point where we can't use it in its current condition.
Okay, so the city just pointed out that we need to upgrade the parking lot, basically.
I don't even know if they actually came out and said that. Maybe probably JHF and Ms. Phillips have assessed that if we show them this, they're not going to approve it.
Oh, okay, so the city hasn't asked us, but we should be, I can see the parking lot. It's in need of repair, so I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just wondering, you know, like, what the change is now, that's all.
Change is that we thought we could use it in its current condition, and now we don't think we should. We should pave it and stripe it.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Oh, it's only going to go, it's not going to go all the way back.
Okay, so there was a motion by Mr. Lee. We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Consideration of future agenda items? None. We adjourn tonight's meeting in honor of Lillian Lency. Lillian Lency was hired February 6, 1974. During her 17 years at JUHSD, she served as a library aide, library AV clerk, and as a library tech assistant at Jefferson and Westmore High Schools until her retirement in 1991. Ms. Lency passed away on January 28, 2022, at 95 years old. Lillian is predeceased by her husband and eldest son. She is survived by 3 children, 6 grandchildren, and 1 great-granddaughter. We, the Jefferson Union High School District Board of Trustees, send our condolences to Ms. Lency's family, friends, and host of loved ones. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.